DC Multiverse!
Whoa, what do we have here today? We have the McFarlane DC Multiverse Azrael Batman Armor Regular and Platinum Edition on the review bench. As far as packaging goes, what is there to talk about? It's always the same. What do you want? The back of the box, it's the same picture for both. I kind of wish that there was a different picture for each of them because they each represent a different time in Azrael wearing the bat armor. But in the end, who cares? We're here to take these and yoink them out of the package. So, hocus pocus, alamagokus. And they are all out. And you'll notice there are no accessories with either of these. And that is because these great big wingy things on the back, well, I suppose they take up the accessory slot. But they both still come with a trading card and also with an action figure stand. I like both of these figures very much so. And we're going to look at them both individually, starting with the regular release. You know, I figured that this is the basic release, so we might as well look at it first. You can see how this figure and the previously released Jean-Paul Valley have mostly the same sculpt, although there are definitely some really big differences. The fists and the gauntlets are actually not the same. Of course, along with the chest bat here that comes down into a point, these shoulder pauldrons, which are massive, this fantastic head sculpt helmet. This is really well done. I really like this. And I like the fact that they painted the visor a different color than the red that the figure is. They could have just gotten away with not painting it. Well, they wouldn't have gotten away with it. We all would have noticed, but they probably could have tried to get away with not painting the visor. I like that. On the back here, I'm not sure how well you can see it. It's actually completely different than the original release, as well as the actual scallops. I like how there's this scallop theme all over this bat. This bat really was a pointy, jagged, unsafe Batman. And all the detail on these wing things looks really fantastic. Those of you who are paintmeisters, well, you may want to paint these to be a little bit more extra accurate. You might want to paint them to be that silver color. And I don't think he wore the pouches around his leg when he wore the suit like this. And then the blue one in hand, well, this one, if you ask me, this one should have been the regular release, and the red one probably should have been the chase, considering this is the one that everyone thinks of when they think of Jean-Paul Valley Batman. And all the details are the same. He's got the same scallops on his back, the same impressive gauntlets. Now, I also will point out that for both of these figures, they didn't do any painting at all on the gauntlets. And I know there's going to be those of you at home that wish they did. I probably will end up painting mine as well, just to make sure that they don't have, well, I mean, look at that. These weren't painted either. And a lot of fans, myself included, hated that. I really appreciate the color scheme of this blue one because you've got a darker gray. When you compare the gray colors of both of these, you have a lighter gray and you have a darker gray. But these both look so good. I'm so reminded of Superman Red, Superman Blue when I see these guys. Here they are again compared to the first Jean-Paul Valley Nightfall Batman figure that McFarlane did. And here they are in comparison to Nightfall Batman, the Bruce Wayne Batman. And then here he is in comparison to the Jean-Paul Valley from Batman White Knight. Here he is compared to Tim Drake Robin. And here he is compared to Selina Kyle Catwoman. And look, even though it pained me to take him down from my collection, I even compared him to Bane. Now I'm going to do the articulation for these guys, and I'm going to focus on just one of them. So for the torso, it is very, very, very limited. I'm really trying to get the most I can out of it. Well, it will move, but then you got to be careful. You don't pull off these scallops, which just fit in there just like that. Gotta be careful. The arms, we have a T that goes right up to those shoulder pauldrons. Of course, we got a bicep swivel. We have double jointed elbows. And I'm going to do these ones. I'm going to demonstrate them just because he's got these great big gauntlets. That's not too bad. And of course, we have the head, which is going to be on a ball peg to swivel. And oh, goodness. Oh goodness, that is a lot more than I thought I was going to get with this. That is impressive. You know what? I'm going to take these all the way off while I'm showing you his articulation. Then we've got the McFarlane style groin there, and he's got actually quite a bit in the way of an approximation of a thigh cut. He's got a double jointed set of knees. He's got the sculpted rounded hinge and toe articulation on the pivot ankle. Very good. So what do I think about these two Batman figures? Honestly, these are probably two of my favorite McFarlane figures this year so far. As much as I'm glad that Jean-Paul is not still in the suit, it really was a fun time that we had someone else under the cowl who was threatening to wreck Batman's legacy with his form of uber-violence justice. The 90s was a weird and special time all around for comics, and Nightfall Batman is just one of those exemplary examples as to why comic books was such a fantastic and amusing time back then. If it wasn't for all of the chances they took back then, we wouldn't have so many legendary / classic stories now that have been referenced in current comic books. And while some of the designs of the 90s fell flat, this was one that certainly took off and became one of the most popular of the decade. Anyway, that's all I have to say for now. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a DC day, everybody, and take care.